Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you something that happened to me. I used to work in an area and live in an area that was one of the places people didn't want to live. It got called deprived. It was, if you were looking for a council house in the city, you said not there, there and there. And it used to be on that list. Thank God it isn't so much now. And it was a place that I loved living. But the young people there, we, as a church, we used to run a kind of young people, kids group, kind of, those early teens, that kind of age. And there was a crowd of them. And we then did church in our home afterwards, where people just came around our house, which was a vicarage with massive rooms. We'd all bring food, we'd all eat together, we'd kind of talk about God together, we'd read a bit of the Bible, we'd eat, we'd hang out, we'd have fun. And those kids loved coming. But their attendance was built on their behaviour. So if they behaved themselves at the youth thing, they were allowed to come into our house and join the kind of gang of, I don't know, anywhere between 20 and 40 people who were around our house. One night, some of the lads had been badly behaved and they weren't allowed to come. So we're meeting, and they started, two of them, one especially, booting a football at our front door. Just standing there, smacking it into the front door. It was a big, strong wooden front door. It was fine. We kind of had some conversations. Hey guys, chill out, all the rest of it. Running away, coming back, all the rest of it. Anyway, I think probably when they were about to go as a parting shot, one of the lads blasted his football at our door. And above the door, I mean, it had to be a perfect angle. So like a porch over, there's a big door behind, and there was the one pane of glass in the entire house that wasn't double glazed. An old, thin piece of glass. And he hits it, shatters the glass, the ball comes through, and obviously everything erupts. They kind of run off, get shouted out by some people. I keep the football because I want him to come back and I want to talk about it. So I'm like, I'm going to keep his ball so he has to come back. And then a policeman turns up. We hadn't called the police, but somebody on the street had. And everything calms down, we get somebody to fix it, put a board up, we deal with it, we sweep it up, it kind of blows over. The policeman says to me, look, do you know who did it? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, why were they doing it? I said, because we wouldn't let them into church. Like, the policeman's like, you wouldn't let kids into church, and so they kicked, anyway, he was a bit confused. And the point of this story is what happened next. The policeman said to me, look, you know who this is, I know who this kid is, I know where he lives, I know the family, it's fine. He said, you can press charges and he will get a criminal record. Or you can not, and I'll give him a stern talking to and scare him. And, he won't have a criminal record for the rest of his life. And at the age of like 12 or 13 or whatever he was, this could have a huge effect on his future. And I said, well, I don't want him to get a criminal record. He wasn't, And the police was like, well, it is criminal damage. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. But I kept hold of his ball because I wanted him to come back and talk to me. Eventually his two elder brothers, cousins, whatever they were, big lads, older lads, come round and go, why are you keeping his ball? It's totally out of order. And I kind of said, because I want to talk to him. If he comes back, he can have it. And they're like, oh, it's just really harsh taking some kid's ball. And I'm like, someone had kicked your window in, what would you do? I think you might do something worse. And they kind of grinned and left. Anyway, lad comes round and we had a conversation. I sat down on the floor with him on the porch and tried to have a conversation. And I tried to say to him, I said, look, what's more important to you? I said, I could have made you get a criminal record and that could have completely wrecked your future. What's more important to you, the consequences of your actions and your future and your happiness and what you might achieve, or this football? And he looked at me and he said, the football. And he wasn't giving it mouth, and he was telling me it was just the two of us and I knew him. And he said, my life's going to amount to nothing. The ball keeps me happy right now. He had absolutely no hope. And when people talk about, whether we give people benefits or whether we give people universal income, however we treat people whose lives are difficult, actually the systemic stuff about politics and all that, it doesn't matter if people don't have hope for the future. And I tell this story because, yeah, he was a kid who had no prospects and a really difficult life and all the rest of it. He had no hope. So he just wanted the thing that would keep him happy right then. And maybe it's a football when he's 12 or 13. It's going to be something different when he's older. But I worry that we're growing up a generation of young people without hope in the future, with fears and worries and pains and a lack of expectation and hope. My question is, do you think that fear is grounded? Do you agree with me? I'm not sure everyone is in the same boat he is, but I think it's a picture of where a lot of people are. What do you think?